Very good morning, dear students. This video is for class 10th, subject science, chapter number 13, and this is regarding assignment solutions. The first question of the assignment was draw a diagram to show magnetic field lines under the following conditions. Around two bar magnets, A. Surrounding two bar magnets placed collinear with the opposite poles facing each other. B. Around two bar magnets placed collinear with the north pole of one facing north pole of another. C. Around a charged straight copper wire. D. Around a neutral straight wire. E. In and out of a solenoid when a constant current flows in it. F. Around a wire loop with a constant current flowing in it. So the answer for the first question, part A, when two bar magnets, they are placed collinear with opposite poles facing each other. Well, two bar magnets are placed in such a way that one magnet is having its north pole towards the south pole of another magnet. So as we know that unlike pole, they attract each other, and why this force of attraction is there? Because from the north pole, magnetic field lines which emerge out, they just directly go to the south pole of the another magnet. So this will be the magnetic field line representation when two bar magnets with opposite poles are lying collinear with each other. Part B, when the bar magnets are collinear with each other and they are facing the same poles of two magnets. So let's say north pole is facing the north pole of another magnet, and as we know that like poles, they repel each other. And why there is a repulsion? Because the magnetic field lines, they emerge from the north pole of the bar magnet. So in both the cases, the magnetic field lines will emerge out from the north pole, but the condition that we know that no two magnetic field lines can intersect each other. So they will not intersect, but as they have the same property, they will repel each other, and the path obtained by them will be like this, that they will feel repulsion and they will move away from the poles. So they will go in this way. So this is the magnetic field representation when two bar magnets with same poles are lying collinear. Part C is when a straight copper wire which is charged, that means the current is flowing in the wire. So we have to draw the magnetic field lines around a straight wire which is having current flowing in it. So let's say the current is flowing from this direction to this. That means as we are seeing it, so current is flowing upward. So according to the right hand thumb rule or right hand grip rule, if we apply that rule on the straight conductor carrying current, we find that concentric circles, magnetic field lines will produce in the form of concentric circles having straight conductor as the center of all the magnetic field lines. So this is the representation of the magnetic field around a straight conductor. If we say the D part, that magnetic field around a neutral wire. So neutral wire, when no current is flowing in the wire, then there will be no magnetic field. And if the current is flowing in that, so the case will be the upper one. That magnetic field will get produced around the wire as concentric circles. E part says that magnetic field around a solenoid carrying constant current. So when we attach the solenoid with the battery, then soon it will attain a situation when the current will be constant throughout the solenoid, and according to the direction of the current flowing in it, we will obtain that one end of the solenoid will behave as south pole, another end of the solenoid will behave as north pole. So magnetic field lines will enter from the south pole, exit from the north pole. So we can draw the magnetic field lines around a solenoid in this way. But as we know that the magnetic field lines, they get diverged near the poles. So outside the solenoid, the magnetic field lines are having unequal distance between them. So magnetic field outside is non-uniform, whereas inside the solenoid, magnetic field lines, they almost travel parallel to each other. That is why we can say that inside a solenoid, uniform magnetic field is present. But outside the solenoid, non-uniform magnetic field, which is weaker as compared to the magnetic field present inside the solenoid, which is as compared to the outside magnetic field, it is stronger. F part of first question says that we have to draw the magnetic field lines around a wire loop having a constant current. So when we attach a battery with a circular loop of the wire, then the current flows in this direction. So if we take the circular loop in two segments, first half and second half, and we apply the right hand grip rule on both these segments, then we find that the magnetic field lines or magnetic field is produced perpendicular, or you can say that the magnetic field lines are concentric circles around the wire, and the center is the conductor. And when we say that as we go away from the conducting wire, outside or inside, the gap between the magnetic field lines increases, and as we come at the center of the circular loop, the magnetic field lines from both the sides, they are almost parallel here. That means we'll get a straight line in the center of the circular loop. So this will be the way to represent the magnetic field lines in a circular wire loop. Question number 2 is, draw a diagram of dynamo and explain its functioning. Does it produces a constant current? So dear students, as the answer of question number 2, we have to write first what is a dynamo. So dynamo is basically a DC generator which produces electric current with the help of mechanical energy. So a dynamo is a DC generator which uses the mechanical energy and converts it into the electrical energy. So here the dynamo which I have made, the diagram of the dynamo which I have made here is a dynamo of a bicycle. You must have seen that many of the bicycles, they have a small lamp which glows when the bicycle is running. So in the night time, the traveler can see the way. So this is the tire of the bicycle. Here only a small portion of the tire I have made. So this is the periphery of the tire, and this one is the dynamo which is connected to the bicycle. Here it is having two parts. One is a shaft, or you can say a small circular disc which is having linings on it, with the help of which it gets rotated when the bicycle tire moves. And with the help of this, one shaft is there to which the magnet is connected. And inside this cup, as you are seeing here, we are having a coil which is having a soft iron core, and here this north south is written. So this is a bar magnet placed inside this dynamo, and these are the connections which are taken from the coil, and they will be going to a lamp which will be connected to the steering, or you can say the handle of the bicycle, where the lamp will be present, and that will glow when the current is induced in this coil with the help of this magnet. But let us see that how the current is induced in the coil. So dear students, we know that magnetic flux should be varied in order to induce current in the circuit. So the main purpose is to induce the current in the circuit. For that we can do two things. That either we have to make the coils to move or we can move the magnet. But as it is easier in case of a bicycle that with the help of a disc kind rotor we have one magnet which is rotated, because either you rotate the coils or the magnet so that the magnetic flux can vary. So what we have that the lower section view I am showing to you, that this is the portion which you see at the end. Here I have a magnet which is having two poles, north and south, and here over the inside this cup we are having a coil which is placed. So when this magnet rotates, the magnetic flux or magnetic field lines associated with the coils, they change every time, and that is how the potential difference develops in the coil. So because of that the magnetic flux is varying, so the current will induce in this coil, and this coil is making a closed circuit with the lamp. So the current will pass through the lamp and that will glow. But let us see that this bar magnet is connected with one of the shaft which is connected with that disc kind of rotor which is connected to the tire of the bicycle. So this is having the linings on it. So as you can see on this pen, the linings are present. So when we attach these lines, or these lines are finer here, but they will be more on the disc. So when something rotates, this will also get rotated. So this happens in the case of bicycle here. So when this rotates, the magnet moves, and because of the bar magnet moving, the magnetic flux linked with the coil changes, because of which the current is induced in the coil. And the speed of the bicycle will decide that how much amount of the current will be induced in the coil. So this is how a very simple DC generator, or you can say the dynamo, works. Question number 3 is, how can you induce current in another conductor by flowing direct current in one circuit? So here as the answer of the third question, we have the induction of current in another conductor by flowing direct current in one circuit. So let's say this is our first circuit which we have connected with the battery, which will give us a DC current, and this is kept near another closed circuit which is having a galvanometer attached to it. So the condition is that the DC source is given to you, because here we have the DC source. So what will happen? When we switch on the battery, the current will start increasing and it will reach a maximum value till the potential difference at both the points becomes equal. So then magnetic field associated with this conductor will not change when the current is constant. So one thing that can be done to induce the current in this coil is that we move this coil away, towards and away from the first coil very rapidly. So when we do this, the magnetic field lines which will be here, present here, or that will also pass through the second coil, will change rapidly. That is what we wanted to induce the current in the circuit. So when we move this secondary coil near this very rapidly, this movement is to and from motion. So when this is done, induced current will be there in the circuit. So this is one method that with the DC source we can induce the current in another circuit. Question number 4 is draw a diagram of a transformer and explain its functioning. So transformer is a device which changes the low AC voltage to high AC voltage or a high AC voltage into lower AC voltage. We can define transformer as a static device which is used to transform electric power of one circuit to electric power of another circuit without changing its frequency. Although it seems to be a little bit complex, but let me explain you that from the generators, or you can say that power stations, when we transmit the electrical energy to a long distance, then there is a large amount of loss in the electrical energy. So to maintain that, what we do, if we do one thing, that either we do supply a very high voltage supply or a very high power. So either we supply a very high amount of power so that sufficient amount of power can be supplied to our homes. But if we do this, so according to the formula of power, we know that power is equal to V into I. When power is very high, so either voltage will be very high or current will be very high. So if the current is very high, so according to Joule's law of heating, the heat will be produced in the wire, and that heat is as a loss of energy, and that will also cause the damage in the insulation cover, or you can say more loss of energy will be there if more heat is produced. Second method can be that when we transfer low power energy, and while distributing the energy from the power station, we have the distribution power stations in between the power stations and our domestic circuits. So we use a device, transformer. So what a transformer is doing? It is basically converting this power, or this is changing this is doing the variations in the power, but overall product will remain same. That means the same amount of energy with less amount of energy loss will be transferred to us. And how does it do so? That we have the electrical energy in the form of power, and power is equal to voltage into current. So let's say from the power station we have supplied the low power and we want to increase this power now. So this is done in two ways, that we increase the voltage instead of increasing the amount of current. So when we do this, then the transformers are called step up transformers, and when there is a requirement, so let's say we are having a large amount of electric power on the transformers which are there in the streets, and they are supplying the electric power to the houses. So that time we need to decrease this power. So what is done? Another type of transformer is used, that is called step down transformer, to decrease the voltage, AC voltage. So now the value of voltage is decreased and the amount of current is increased. But remember that the distance of the wire, or you can say the distance between the transformers present in the walls in the streets from our houses is less as compared to the distance between the transmission stations to our houses. So here the loss will be minimized and the heat production will also be less. So this is what a transformer do. So transformer can be step up transformers or step down transformers according to the needs. A transformer is based on the principle of mutual induction. Now what is mutual induction? Because we have studied about electromagnetic induction. So the same is happening, but this is now happening between the two coils. And how these two coils are here? So we have the construction part. Here, let's say, we'll come to this construction later, but let me show you that we have one coil to which we supply the AC electric current. So when we are supplying the AC electric current or alternating current to this coil, then what will happen? The potential drop will generate across, or the current will flow in the conductor, because of which a magnetic field will produced in this coil. Now this magnetic field will also get associated if another coil is placed near it. So this magnetic field will also link with this magnetic coil, so that magnetic field will also get associated with this, which will cause the production of EMF at the ends of this coil. And if this circuit is closed, then a current will get induced in this circuit also. But one factor is important here, that if we keep these kind of two coils near each other and we produce the induced the electromotive force in the secondary coil, so here we have a air gap. So air will cause that less number of magnetic fields will link with this secondary coil. So that is why we need some kind of a medium which is highly magnetic material, so that will directly link the magnetic flux associated with first coil to the second. So that is why here we are using the iron, or you can say we are using the steel here, because steel gets permanently magnetized. So it will help us here that the sheets of steel having the dielectric material in that. So we are having a number of discs like the pages in a notebook. So these kind of sheets, because this is the top view that you are seeing, but behind this we will be having a large number of sheets. So this way you can show them here. This is a three-dimensional thing. So in the construction we have this steel on which you are making two coils. First is primary coil, second is secondary coil. So this is connected with the AC source. This is the symbol for AC source. Now the potential difference developed across the primary coil will be called as Vp. When the magnetic field which will produce in the primary coil, so because of this steel, what will happen? That will link directly to the second coil through the steel plate. So this is the magnetic flux phi. Now this is the secondary coil. So when the magnetic field lines will pass through it, so at this end EMF will get generated, because number of magnetic field lines linked with the secondary coil are different at two ends. So that is why EMF will develop in this. So that will be Vs. And if this circuit is closed, so the current will flow here. So from here we can take the output. Either it is transferred to the further electric power transmission. So this transformer is used to transmit the electrical energy. It is doing the generation also. So that's how it steps up and steps down, because we know that number of turns, the potential difference developed or the induced current amount also depends on the number of turns of the coils. So when we have the number of coils in secondary coil higher than the number of turns in the primary coil, then this will be called a step up transformer. And when the number of secondary coil, number of turns of wire in the secondary coil are less as compared to the primary coil, then this will be a step down transformer. That is having its own derivation, but that is not required at your level, but you will have to understand that this is the basic working of a transformer. So this is how we are getting our output here. So whether we want to transmit this or whether we want to make a load here that will run on this, so that can be done. So transformers, they are used to transmit the electrical energy at long distances. They do the increase in the AC voltage supply, and they can also decrease the AC voltage into higher one. They can also decrease the AC voltage, they can also increase the AC voltage. Question number 5 is, draw a diagram of three-phase transformer used in India for domestic power supply and explain its functioning. Question number 5 is, draw a diagram of three-phase transformer used in India for domestic power supply and explain its functioning. So dear students, just now we studied the transformer in which we were having just two coils, primary and secondary one. So this was one single phase transformer. So what was happening here, that we were having let's make it again, that we have the primary coil which is connected with the AC source, secondary coil, and a steel plate is used to wound these primary and secondary coils. So through this we were taking the load, so that was induced current which we were taking as the output from this. So we were getting the current from here, so that was the current. So which wire carries the current? That is live wire, or also called phase wire. So this is single phase transformer. If we talk about three-phase transformer, then we join three-phase transformer can be made with two ways, that either we join three single-phase transformers to each other, or we can make a three-phase transformer by having an arrangement in which we can do three pair of the windings. So this is done because the basics that you have to understand is that now we have to join three single phase transformers with each other, and they will be joined in this way, that they are having an angle of 120 with each other. So now this angle between the three will be 120 degree each. And how we are going to join? Because here we'll be having three single phase transformers. So one transformer or three single phase transformers will be connected across this line. So this is how it will look like when we join three single phase transformers with each other, having a 120 degree angle with each other. And what we do, that we make a common point here, and at these sides we'll be having the secondary coils. So at these ends we'll be having our one coil, and this end, this will be the midpoint of all. So when the flux associated with each coil comes in the contact of, or when flows in this steel plate, then here we get the total magnetic flux. That will be 0, because here the magnetic flux is coming, from here the magnetic flux will come, from here also the magnetic flux will come, and this will pass through the common line. So now, as this is coming from these 3 points and going from 1, so this magnetic flux will be, this coming magnetic flux will pass through the central line. So this is how a 3-phase transformer can be formed. And here what we are doing, that will take the output from each of the 3 coils and will make 3-phase transformer. This can also be done in this way, that we have a steel plate in this way. So here at these 3 places the windings will be done. And this is how we will be able to form a 3-phase transformer. So basically the principle of the 3-phase transformer is same. As in case of single phase transformer, we were obtaining an AC current that was induced in the coil, secondary coil. So this was flowing in this way. But now, question number 5 is, draw a diagram of 3-phase transformer used in India for domestic power supply and explain its functioning. So dear students, just now we studied the transformer in which we were having just 2 coils, primary and secondary one. So this was one single phase transformer. So what was happening here, that we were having, let's make it again, that we have the primary coil which is connected with the AC source, secondary coil, and a steel plate is used to wound these primary and secondary coils. So through this we were taking the load, so that was induced current which we were taking as the output from this. So we were getting the current from here, so that was the current. So which wire carries the current? That is live wire, or also called phase wire. So this is single phase transformer. If we talk about 3-phase transformer, then we join 3-phase transformer can be made with 2 ways, that either we join 3 single phase transformers to each other, or we can make a 3-phase transformer by having an arrangement in which we can do 3 pair of the windings. So this is done because the basics that you have to understand is that now we have to join 3 single phase transformers with each other, and they will be joined in this way, that they are having an angle of 120 with each other. So now this angle between the 3 will be 120 degree each. And how we are going to join? Because here we'll be having 3 single phase transformers. So one transformer or 3 single phase transformers will be connected across this line. So this is how it will look like when we join 3 single phase transformers with each other, having a 120 degree angle with each other. And what we do, that we make a common point here, and at these sides we'll be having the secondary coils. So at these ends we'll be having our one coil, and this end, this will be the the midpoint of all. So when the flux associated with each coil comes in the contact of, or when flows in this steel plate, then here we get the total magnetic flux. That will be 0, because here the magnetic flux is coming, from here the magnetic flux will come, from here also the magnetic flux will come, and this will pass through the common line. So now, as this is coming from these 3 points and going from 1, so this magnetic flux will be, this coming magnetic flux will pass through the central line. So this is how a three-phase transformer can be formed. And here what we are doing, that we'll take the output from each of the 3 coils and we'll make three-phase transformer. This can also be done in this way, that we have a steel plate in this way. So here at these 3 places the windings will be done. And this is how we will be able to form a three-phase transformer. So basically the principle of the three-phase transformer is same. As in case of single-phase transformer, we were obtaining an AC current that was induced in the coil, secondary coil. So this was flowing in this way. But now, so here we'll be having three-phase power supply which will be lagging with each other by 120 degree. So there will be a phase lag between each of the phase power supplies of 120 degree, and as you can see here that we are having 1, 2 and 3 power supplies. So when the mutual induction in one is maximum, then it is 0 in another, and it is in somewhere between in the second one. So this is how the 3-phase power supply, they move on each other, along with each other, having some phase difference between them, and that phase difference between the 3-phase power supply will be 120 degree. So this is how a 3-phase transformer works. And why we are using the 3-phase transformers? Because instead of using different transmitters or more number of transmitters is at a place to get the more power supply, we use a single 3-phase transformer that can be made in 2 ways, that either by connecting 3 single phase transformers with each other, or by connecting them in this way by making the windings here. Or we can also do it that on a single core we are making the 3 type of coils. So these 3 windings of coils will be done at single core. So that will also make a 3-phase transformer. So this is done because the 3-phase transformer is, as compared to the single phase transformers, it takes less space. So it takes less space, compact, easy to install and transport. So because of all these things in the transformer, the transformers of 3-phase are more reliable in India, or that is why they are used in the domestic power supply. Question number 6 is, what is permeability? What is the difference between permittivity and permeability? Explain with examples. So dear students, we are not going to discuss the answer of this question here, because this was explained in the assignment number 2 of chapter number 12. So you can go to the same video and can learn the answer. Question number 7 is that can there be magnetic field without motion of charged particles? Explain. So as we know that force is equal to BIL when constant of proportionality K is kept a value 1. So force becomes F is equal to BIL. If we replace the value of I as Q by T, then it becomes BQL by T, and this is called velocity. So force is directly equal to BQV. That means it is related to the velocity of the particles in motion. But when the motion of the particle is zero, that the force produced is zero. That means magnetic field cannot be produced when the motion of the particle is zero. So dear student, question number 8 is what is induction? So dear students, induction word means that to introduce something. But here as we are talking about the magnetic effects of current, so here induction means to induce potential or to induce current. So when we are inducing current or potential difference in another circuit with the help of a bar magnet or a current carrying coil, with the so there is no direct contact between the first coil and the second one. So that is why we induce the current and potential difference in another circuits without the direct contacts between them with the help of varying magnetic flux. So this is what induction is. Question number 9 is write the unit of magnetic strength and explain it. We know that magnetic field strength can be given as F is equal to BIL. So if we keep the other values constant, or sorry, we keep the other values unity, then F becomes equal to B. That means the magnetic field strength B is defined as the force acting per unit current per unit length of the conductor placed perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field. So if we try to find out the direction, the SI units of magnetic field, which is Tesla, so F is equal to BIL, writing the SI units of all these, we get the Tesla, 1 Tesla will be 1 Newton per ampere per meter. Thus, magnetic field strength is said to be 1 Tesla if 1 meter long conductor carrying 1 ampere current experiences 1 Newton force when placed perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field. Question number 10 is study an AC electric motor. How do stator and rotor cause force to appear between them? So as we all know that the electric motors are the devices which convert the electrical energy into mechanical energy. So in case of AC electric motor, the sources which we are using to give the electrical energy supply to the electrical device is in the form of alternating current. And what happens here in the AC electric motor, that we are having the motor which is having a coil winding in this way, that 4 or it can be 6, like here we have two pairs of the coils which will be wrapped on these metal strips. So here these are the two pairs of coil, and these coils are given supply by two AC sources. So this is given supply by one source and this is given supply by another source. So here we have two AC sources which are giving supply to the pair of coils. So that is why, because the coils are not moving, so these are called stators, but the magnet which is connected to a shaft rotates in between the coils when the current is passed through the coils. So this magnet, which is kind of bar magnet, rotates, and that is why this is called rotor. So what happens in the case of functioning of an electric motor, AC electric motor, that when the current supply is given to these two coils, then the magnetic effect is produced. Similarly, with the other source, we are giving the magnet current supply here, so magnetic field will be produced. But in first situation, as we are seeing here, the magnetic field lines, they will align perpendicular, the collinear with the magnet. But with this pair, these are perpendicular, so this will exert a force on it. So this will keep on moving in this direction. Then again, the force is decreasing, so it will cause it to move in this way. Then when it comes in the position this, then again it is collinear with this pair, but it is perpendicular to the magnetic field of these two, this pair of coil. So this is how the rotor and the stator, both, they cause the rotation of the magnet, or the induction of force on the magnet is causing the magnet to move inside the electric motor. So this is how an electric motor works. So dear students, we are done with the solutions. So see you soon in the revision assignments. Till then, take care and goodbye.